Joel Sherman back with three things. Why don't we make three things today about Carson Benge? Starting with number one. Why are we excited, meaning the baseball world, excited about Carson Benge? Uh, because next is always fascinating. There's so little mystery around the world in general and sports world in specific. And so uh, when we have a player who is just seen through other people's eyes, scouts, Baseball America, Baseball Prospectus, everyone who's putting out these lists, most people haven't seen Nolan McLean. They've heard about Nolan McLean. They've gotten excited. Let's remember, David Stearns said that at the end of last disappointing season for the Mets, that he would be given a chance to make the team in 2026 out of spring training. And here we are in spring training 2026. The Mets are set in almost every other positional place, every place pretty much in the rotation. They might have 6 for 5 if they only go with 5 there. But there's mystery about Benge, and like the backup quarterback, we always love, like the guy who's not playing is always more exciting to us than the guy who is playing. And there is excitement. Why is there excitement around Benge? One, he's obviously talented. He was a first-round draft choice. He was the pick just before Toronto took Trey Yasevich in 2024. He was the first pick of the David Stearns administration. So that certainly is exciting. And then last year, in his first full season in the minor leagues, he shot from high A to double A to triple A, and moved into pretty much everyone's top 20 prospect list. A lefty hitting outfielder with five tools. So two, why don't we talk about who he's getting compared to? I reached out to about 10, 15 people. I always think it's valuable. It's in the Mets' best interest. And by the way, even if they're being sincere, they love this prospect, Carson Benge. Of course they do. They drafted him. They've developed him. They see his high end. So I always think it's worthwhile to talk to people outside the organization. I did exactly that, about 10, 12 people. And you should know, they all think well of Carson Benge. I'll give you the 3 comps I got. One was Kyle Tucker. Pretty much if you're a fan of baseball, you know who he is. Tucker's taller. Tucker's 6'4". Benge is like 6'1", but they meant as the overall package temperament. Nick Markakis. If you say, wow, how good is that going to be? Nick Markakis had over 2,300 hits in the major leagues. He won 3 Gold Gloves. The other one I heard, Steve Finley, who was a tremendous center fielder, won 5 Gold Gloves in center field. And by the way, had over 300 homers and 300 stolen bases in the major leagues. Where would the Mets sign up for any of these careers for Benge? And that's why they're so excited about him. So why don't we go to 2? What would it mean if he made the team? It would mean they solved a problem. It would mean that Brett Beatty could move around the field, but right field, second base, third base, first base, and try to accumulate 400 plus plate appearances that way. It means that Taylor goes back to doing kind of what he does best as a fourth outfielder type, play against some lefty pitching, come in late to defend or run. The Mets are just much better set up. If Benge does that, if he makes the team, the Mets are going to think that he brings 5 tools and some energy right from the beginning. I would suspect that they'll begin him by hitting him low in the lineup, try to take the pressure off. And they're trying to take the pressure off here. Carlos Mendoza, when asked about this, said frankly that he's told him, hey, I know you're probably going to mess up here. Don't worry about it. Just move forward. We believe in you. And part of what the Mets want to see here is how does he handle messing up. The one thing that has come up a lot about him, and you could take this a bunch of different ways, is like nobody's accusing this player of being a deep thinker. This is the kind of guy who's playing by instinct and athleticism as opposed to, an overly thoughtful, analytical guy. Like if you talk to someone, say like Francisco Lindor, he's a deep thinker when it comes to playing baseball. The word on Benge is he's a guy who does this more by athleticism and instinct, and because of that, the Andy Green, who runs the Mets minor leagues, I asked him about it. He said he's really good at flushing. Benge is really good at flushing good day, bad day, which is vital when you play 6-7 days a week to move on from good to bad, and that is the word on Benge. So why don't we go to number 3 here, which is what if he doesn't make the team? Well, the Mets have a little bit of a problem then because they think Brett Beatty can add corner outfield to his resume. But they're not positive about that. You'll see him a lot out in the corner outfield, especially right field this spring training. Every chance the Mets get, I would think every time there is 2 games, an A game and a B game in a day, Benge will be playing right field in one place and Beatty will be playing right field in the other place. The Mets have to get to know if he could do that. And then Tyrone Taylor becomes a more regular player again. And I think what Taylor has shown over these last few years with the Mets is if you ask him to be a supplementary 10th, 11th man on a roster, he's way more valuable than just bringing him in as a more 300, 400 plate appearance kind of guy. You want him as depth and an emergency guy and a defensive guy and a base runner and really good clubhouse guy. Asking for more out of that is problematic. Is it possible someone like MJ Melendez could become part of this? If that's the case, Melendez was once thought of, this is why you got to watch with prospects. He was once thought of as Carson Benge, not the whole package, but a top 20 prospect, and it never worked with the Royals. And now he's here with the Mets on a low contract, and they're going to see if, they could revive him. Does he end up playing right field if Benge can't do it from the beginning of the season? And then as just to finish up here, the question becomes what becomes of Benge then if he goes to the minor leagues? You know what becomes of Benge? He's only got 1 full season in the minors. He's 23 years old. He had an overall very, very good year last year. 281, 15 homers, over 20 steals, a high 800 OPS. But in AAA, he hit 178 with a 583 OPS. And that was in, not a ton of games, 20-something-ish games. So a lot of the scouts and executives I talked to felt it would be valuable for him to go back. The Mets believe fully that they can find out in 6 weeks if he should go back or not. And that's obviously why these 6 weeks are important. For a player like Juan Soto, the other corner outfielder, the guy who's opening up right field by moving to left field, these 6 weeks are about, well, for him, WBC this year, but preparation. He knows he's got the team made. He's a great player. So they're just trying, he's a guy who's getting ready for a season. For Benge, this is an audition, and he will have to try to block out some noise, block out some pressure, etc. But he, over the next 6 weeks, has a real shot to make this team. I think the Mets want him to make this team. They don't want to send him back. They don't want to slow down his clock. This is an important player for their future, but he's also an important player for 2026. And these 6 weeks are Carson Benge time.